The secret hidden in the darkness. In the age of kings and castles, most people would not leave their beds until the sun forced them out. Rest was considered the one and only reward of a hard life. This is the story of one such man. His name was Aldric. He had not a penny to his name. His bones were weary. And as though he had never existed at all, he had vanished from the eyes of the world, but he found a secret hidden within the darkness before dawn broke. A secret that required no magic, no fortune. It required only that he open his eyes while the rest of the world lay in deep sleep. This is the story of how the habit of waking at 5 in the morning utterly and forever transformed his destiny. Aldric lived in a half-crumbling hut on the edge of a bustling trading town. Every night he went to sleep without filling his stomach. Every morning he woke to the same emptiness as the day before. He did manual labor, carried loads for merchants, cleaned stables, turned millstones. But the coins that came his way could barely cover the cost of a single loaf of bread. He would watch the town's wealthy from a distance. They wore thick furs, meat steamed on their tables every day. He asked himself, what sets them apart from me? Are they smarter? Or did fortune simply smile upon them? Aldric was intelligent. He was strong. But he was locked in an invisible cage. He saw his poverty as fate's whim, as the decree of the heavens. He believed he had been condemned to struggle. Yet the heaviest pain was not hunger. The heaviest pain was the silence. Being noticed by no one. Wandering through his own life like a ghost. Feeling like someone who had passed through and left no trace. One late afternoon, an old traveling merchant stopped in front of his hut. The front wheel of his cart had broken, leaving him stranded in the middle of the road. Aldric helped without a second thought. He repaired it, set the wheel back in place. The merchant responded with gratitude. He laid out a spread, showed him a warm spot by the fire. In the flickering light of the flames, the old man began to speak. He said not a word about luck. Not a word about fate. He spoke about time. My boy, he said, the sun gives the same light to the king and to the peasant. But the man who makes use of the darkness before the sun rises lives the daylight twice. Aldric did not understand. What good can the darkness do a man? He asked. The old man only smiled and closed his eyes. But sleep did not come to Aldric. The words turned over and over in his mind, again and again, the darkness that comes before the sun. He decided to test the old man's riddle. He went to bed early that night. There was a fear inside him. He was afraid of the cold, afraid of the dark. But his greatest fear was remaining the same. Before the rooster crowed, before the first bird sang, while the moon still hung in the middle of the sky, Aldric woke. It was cold. Pitch black. His body did not want to leave its thin, tattered blanket. But he rose. He opened the door and stepped outside. The town had grown sparse, turned into a ghost town. No merchants, no noise, no one to look down on him. For the first time in a long while, he felt a sense of relief inside. He felt free. He walked to the river. He leaned over, splashed handfuls of cold water on his face. He did not yet know what he would do. He simply sat there, watching the water's quiet flow, thinking. He walked toward the emptied market. He examined the abandoned stalls. He saw the rubbish left behind, noticed the wooden beams rotting at the edges, mentally noted the spots where the morning crowds would flow most densely. Within the silence, his mind grew unusually clear. He could now see plainly what he had never been able to see amid the daytime noise and commotion. He saw opportunities. Then the sun rose from the horizon. Golden light settled on his face, and for the first time, he did not feel like a poor man watching the wealthy from afar. He felt like a man witnessing the birth of his own world. He ran back to his hut. He spotted his old axe in the corner, rusted, its handle loose. An idea came to him. Not a grand idea, an ordinary one, but a real one. That first morning he did not try to reach wealth. He simply sharpened his old, useless axe. He brought it back to life. While the other men crowded the tavern door for breakfast, Aldric was already deep in the forest. While they were still rubbing the sleep from their eyes, he had already put in 2 hours of work. He chopped wood. Not under anyone's command, but by his own will. He stacked it neatly. As the sun drew close to its peak, there was a pile of wood ready to be taken to market. He hoisted the wood onto his shoulders and carried it to the market. The other vendors were still setting up their stalls. Aldric was already standing before customers. A housewife was looking for wood for her oven. She bought the entire pile. It was not a great sum. But it was the fruit of his own labor, his own time, his own hands. He took those coins to the market and bought meat. He ate slowly, pausing at each bite. He felt that he had not merely filled his stomach. He had filled his dignity. That night he scratched a mark on his wall. One day, he made himself a promise. Whatever the weather brought, whatever the morning held, he would do this again tomorrow. The next morning was harder. His muscles burned, the cold cut even deeper into his bones. But he remembered the taste of the meat. He got up. He chopped wood every morning. In rain, in frost, in gloomy darkness, in pale dawn. He became a silent shadow in the forest. While others were inside their dreams, he was breaking a sweat. He saved. He bought a sturdier axe. He chopped faster. He saved more. He acquired another axe. He realized he could not keep up with the whole forest on his own. He found a young man. Someone once just as poor as he had been, carrying hope just as hungry as his own. He made an offer. When two axes swung at the same time, the pile doubled. Now Aldric was not merely selling wood. He was selling more than anyone in the market. Merchants began rushing to him. They wanted his goods. They had no patience to wait in front of slow vendors. Aldric had the supply. Aldric's word carried weight. He was no longer invisible. Everyone in the town knew his name. He was respected. But Aldric knew the truth. They were not respecting him. They were respecting the man who rose in the darkness of morning. His hut had grown too small for his dreams. There was money in his pocket. But he was not yet a millionaire. He could merely get by in comfort, and that was not enough. He set his eyes on the horizon. He knew of a town 2 days' journey away. There was no woodland there. They were suffering from a shortage of wood, and they were willing to pay triple the price. He hired more men. This time not just young lads, but strong and hardened men. He put a clear offer on the table, wages above the market rate, in return for loyalty and hard work. He assembled a caravan. A convoy loaded with wood and heavy carts. He led the way himself and set out toward the distant town. The journey was grueling and full of dangers. But upon his arrival, the town welcomed them like saviors. They had been frozen to the bone. Aldric's wood was worth gold there. He sold the entire caravan in a single morning. When he returned home, his chest held more money than he had ever seen gathered in one place in his entire life. But he did not stop. He reinvested every last coin. He built a warehouse. So the wood would not rot in the rain, so it would be ready for winter. He bought more axes. He took on more workers. Now when Aldric rose at 5 in the morning, there were men beside him. They were rising too. A rhythm had been born, a culture of discipline had taken root. Aldric's hands no longer held an axe. His work was different now. It was to think, to plan, to seek new doors. And he did all of this before the town woke. He took his mother out of that old, damp hut. He built her a stone house with a real fireplace. His mother wept and wept. "I thought I would never be warm again," she said, but every morning at 5, Aldric was at his table, looking out at the same dark town. He remembered the old traveler. The man who makes use of the darkness lives the daylight twice. Years passed. One day the old traveling merchant came through the town. Standing before him was not a penniless peasant but a well-known trader of the region. Aldric ran to him and bowed. "You gave me the riddle," he said. "You changed my life." The old man only smiled. "I gave you nothing but a few words. The discipline, you created that yourself, for yourself." Aldric thought of his childhood. He remembered how much he had loved watching the sunrise as a small boy. But over time that habit had slipped away and vanished. He understood now, the sun had not changed. The world had not changed. He had changed. He stopped seeing the morning as a burden, as a punishment. He began to see it as a gift. He walked through his warehouse. The shelves were full to bursting. The wood was just wood. But that life had been built upon the hours no one else had wanted to claim. He passed the same lesson on to his apprentices. "The first hour of the morning is yours," he told them. "No debts, no orders, no noise. Just you and your mind." While others slept and planned in their dreams, Aldric's men sat together and mapped out strategy. While others complained of the cold, they had already lit the fire. They were always one step ahead. Success was not about being smarter. It was about starting earlier. It was about seizing clarity in that silence before the day's noise and chaos took over. He watched his rivals. They rose late. They rushed. They made mistakes. They were always trailing behind the day. Aldric, meanwhile, was building the day himself. The river where he had first washed his face became, over the years, his sacred corner. He went there every morning. Not to work, but to breathe, to feel gratitude. He looked at his reflection. He no longer saw that penniless, worn-out young man. He saw a man shaped by his own hands, distilled from his own essence. The town would slowly wake, stretch, and tumble into its daily rush. By that hour, Aldric had already lived a full and complete morning. He was ready for anything. The money kept coming. It was not luck. It was the compounding effect of thousands of early mornings. Time accumulated in small increments, transformed into a fortune. Aldric became the most prosperous man in the region. Not because he was a genius, but because he had taken ownership of the one thing so many people squandered recklessly, the first hours of the morning. In his old age, Aldric sat by the fire one night. His grandchildren gathered around him. "Grandfather," they asked, "what is the secret of a beautiful and meaningful life?" He extended his hand toward the window. Outside, the world was still pitch dark. "Do you see that?" he asked. They nodded. "I found everything I ever wanted out there. But it's dark and frightening," said one of them. Aldric laughed. The dark is only frightening to those without a purpose. If you have a purpose, the dark is simply a quiet workspace with no sound coming in from outside. He took his eldest grandson to the edge of the forest. He held out a small, well-sharpened axe. "Tomorrow, before the sun appears on the horizon, we meet at the river." The boy was there before dawn. His body trembling, but he was there. Aldric placed his hand on the boy's shoulder. "You have passed your first test. You came. Everything else that follows is simply a continuation of this." The grandson embraced that habit. He grew up. He succeeded. He taught his children. The habit was passed down from generation to generation. The town changed over time. A monument was erected for the old traveling merchant who had given the riddle. But in truth, that monument was built for an idea, the idea that time, when seized, is worth even more than gold, and so the story of the man who turned from poverty to prosperity became legend. But there was no magic in it. There was a choice. A choice renewed every morning in the dark, before the world could say, "You cannot." Aldric's world is gone now. But that principle is still very much alive. The world is noisy. The world is full of traps that snatch away your attention. But every morning, for a few hours, it falls silent. The question is not whether you have talent. The question is not whether fortune favors you. The question is this: what will you do with that silence? If this story touched something inside you, if you want to be the architect of your own destiny, subscribe to Motivational Tales. A new story of strength every week. Tell us in the comments, what time do you wake up? Are you seizing the darkness? Share your goals with us. We want to hear your story. Move on to one of the next videos to continue your journey. Remember, the world can wait. Your destiny begins now. We'll meet again in the next story. Motivational Tales. Rise early. Rise strong.